Hi, I'm Neil Sackmary.
Hi, I'm State Trooper Sean Hagstrom with the Nevada State Police Highway Patrol Division, PEIO. Please stay tuned for the next episode of Trooper Talk.
And together, we can make a difference. Here we are live at the 360 Vegas studios. We have the PIEO Hagstrom here, and Officer McClarty is here. Gentlemen, thanks so much.
Oh, thank you.
Last week we had a tremendous response by everybody that was asking not only about Whitney, about the dispatchers and all that type of stuff, right? But I want to focus on a few different things. One of the things that I really want to focus on is the fact that there are people at Nevada State Police, like Officer McClarty, who will come in on his day off, who donates his time to making a better Nevada State Police when it comes to people recruiting. And he goes out there and he'll talk to you, he'll help you if you need one-on-one training. These are things that no one else does, and we touched on that last week. And so I want to touch on that, and then I want to get to the critical fill. So we have
Sure.
a well-rounded thing, because last week we talked a lot about it a little bit, but not so much. So let's start with you, Officer McClarty. You have a full-time job, and you still take your time and donate your time to get people to be able to recruit so that they can go into the academy. But the number one first thing that you talk about is the fact of take the time, go to Southern Command, fill out the paperwork, and do a ride-along. Talk to us about a ride-along and actually what that encompasses.
So the ride-along actually gives you, the experience that you need to even decide if you want to do this job. Whether you're a trooper or parole and probation officer, there's a lot that goes into each division. So doing a ride-along gives you that information to, give you the optimal information of picking which one is best for you based on personality, prior experience that you may have in your personal life, your professional life. The ride-along gives you and paints a perfect picture of what they do as a career.
And when it comes to the parole and probation or the becoming a trooper, right, the academy, when it comes to the physical academy, is that basically the same?
Physical academy as
when someone has to do push-ups and pull-ups and the running and all the physical stuff, is the academy the same for parole and probation and to become a state trooper?
Oh, yes. So the basic academy, or basic law enforcement academy, is 21 weeks, and that's a mixture of parole and probation officers, highway patrol troopers. So our current academy has 8 highway patrol troopers and 6 parole and probation officers in it. They do that specific 21 weeks together.
And I know when we had Trooper Wellman on, she did the Northern Academy, and that you stay there.
Mm-hmm.
In the Southern Command, do you stay there as well, what is the situation?
You do not. And I actually attended the Carson City Academy as well.
Okay.
So that's like live in dorms. It's free. It's very close to the academy. So the transition from where you're staying at to where your classes are is very short. So it's easy to get to. The Las Vegas Academy does not have a live-in. So that one is like it's the same up north as well. It's like a 9-to-5 job. You go to your classes, you do your training, and then you're on your own to study, build camaraderie with your classmates. But it's not a live-in Las Vegas.
Not a live-in.
Yeah.
And let's talk about you, okay? When it comes to your law enforcement career, we touched on that before, but I want to get a little bit further in that. You did your duty as a law enforcement officer for almost 30 years. And when you were retired, you had an opportunity to come back to the Nevada State Police. And I'm sure there were decisions, family decisions, and you know what I mean, and all these type of things, right? And I'm sure in your mind you're like, okay, is this really what I want to do? But this is who you are. right? And so, as much as we try to maybe run from who we are in a moment, like, this is who you are. And so, coming back as a critical fill for the Nevada State Police is very important, which obviously we commend. But explain to us about psychologically, family, what you had to talk about, and all these things, so that we can try to get people that want to become on the Nevada State Police in a different way.
Sure. One of the things, well, we discussed it with my wife, but pretty much it wasn't really psychological on that. She was like, you need to get a job and get out of the house kind of thing. So that was kind of a push me out the door kind of thing to get going. But the camaraderie, going back to what you know, I mean, I could have done other jobs, but I know this job, and it's pretty much an easier transition to get back into the job. For people that were looking at, are retired and looking to come back on critical fill, all they have to do is reapply with the Nevada State Police as a critical fill. You get paid your sick leave and vacation dates. You get vacation accruement. Also, it doesn't affect your retirement. So you'll still get your retirement check every month, but the money that you make while working on the patrol is extra on top of that. So that really helps out a lot too. And I looked at that as far as money situation too.
And let's face it, you know, when it comes down to it, things are not getting any less expensive. And so I saw the other day that they had a thing on the news, you know, that they said if you had $1 million in the bank, you know, the states that you would be able to retire, you know, like, you know, Oklahoma was 22 years, you know, other places were 10 years. And you think about it, you know, like somebody has $1 million in the bank and they can only survive. And so when it comes to you putting your life on the line again, was that a decision that was hard to make?
It was for me a little bit because times have really changed. I've watched it change over the last 25, 30 years. But I think I got enough experience in how to talk to people effectively. And you got to be a good communicator and let people know what you need to get done to get that job done. So just coming back was a little bit easier for me to transition back into the program. So, but you always got that in the back of your mind. Is it going to go bad, or am I getting in a bad situation coming back? But you gotta trust your instincts. You gotta trust the department that you work for. We got a great team here. We may be smaller, but everybody is like family. So that it's kind of easy to transition back into what you know and being in like a family structure for law enforcement.
Yeah, and Officer McClarty, when it comes to a person from another agency, right? There's a different academy, and there's shortened weeks.
Yeah, so that's, you know, lateral. So the DPS Officer 2 is the link that they would apply to, and that academy is 8 weeks long. So when somebody's thinking, oh, I got to do this entire academy, so like if we were to go to some of these local agencies, they require you to do a full academy, even if you're a lateral. But we don't have that requirement. We only require you to do 8 weeks of advanced training or specific training, and that academy, and it's more or less just advanced training. It's not an additional academy specific to the division that you choose. So whether you're going to highway patrol or parole and probation, you do 8 weeks specific towards that division. So it's more advanced training to get you ready to be on field training, ready to be an officer or a trooper. So it's specific training to that division.
And learning the new laws and stuff.
Correct.
And then once they're done, the person is done with the academy, right? Then they have to go with someone that is in that department for a short time before they're able to go out and do the things on their own.
Correct, and that's the field training that we, you know, require, and it's about 17 weeks long.
Okay. And the best part about it is that you're able to ask the questions to someone who has been there before, so that you're able to perform your job. Because when it comes to your job with the parole and probation, a little bit different than the highway patrol, right? You're a little bit more hands-on, talking and going to people's houses and things like that. So explain to us when it comes to that, when it comes to the parole and probation, sort of a daily day in your life.
Right, and the positions are very similar as in our basic understanding of law enforcement. The only thing that we go a little bit further and is a requirement of our job is we have to see, or we are required to be with somebody, whether they're sentenced to 3 to 5 years on probation or parole. We're with them for that amount of time. Whereas like a trooper, depending on how long their traffic stop is, that might be the only interaction that they have with that specific person over a given period of time. Yeah. Whereas us, we might be supervising somebody for 3 to 5 years. So if you can think about it,
that's a long time.
That's a long time. And you get to know somebody. Like you said, you're going into their homes. You're interacting with their family, so you get to know their family. And then hopefully your interaction is in a positive way to where you're affecting not only the person that you're supervising, but the family as well. Because that energy, that work that you're putting out there is going to branch off and hopefully affect more than just the person that you're talking to.
Yeah, and I was talking about Captain Munoz the other day in my store because a guy came in, and I was telling him about the Hope for Prisoners, and I said, oh, it's a great thing because the guy was the customer said that he was incarcerated, and so he said that he did a different thing inside when he was incarcerated, but it was kind of like the Hope for Prisoners, right? Mm-hmm. And so, if someone is driving and they make the wrong choice, they could end up on parole and probation, and they could be with you for some time. And so there are specific things that they must adhere to, right? Or they could end up back in jail, right?
And that's anybody that's on that, supervision. There's different levels, there's different, sections, if you want to call it, that they have special requirements for each specific charge, whether that's counseling, whether it's getting a job, GED, high school diploma, if they, kind of quit on their education. But there's structure in there to hope, that they push forward to create a better lifestyle for themselves.
Because that's what we want, right?
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like, sometimes that happens. You know what I mean? And look at you. You're like all like relaxed. Like, this is fantastic. You know what I'm saying? Here's the best part about the Trooper Talk. Mm-hmm. When we go inside the life of the Nevada State Police, we go inside in every way. And so we're able to talk in a way that most interactions, like you said, when it comes to Nevada State Police are very short, except for the parole and probation. And so one of the things when it comes to the highway patrol that we need people to understand is that it is very scary when people are buzzing by you at 80 miles an hour and you are on the side of the road trying to have a conversation with someone. And so if you see the lights, I saw again, it was a Metro officer, but he had someone pulled over on the side of the road, on the highway, and people again were moving over. And so if you see those lights on the highways anywhere, tow trucks, blinky lights, whatever, the move over law says that they must move over, right?
And that is correct. We try to pound that forward that, hey, if you see any type of lights up ahead, always try to get in the further lane if possible. And it doesn't matter if it's emergency lights, like you said, if it's a tow truck, it could be just somebody on the side of the road trying to change their tire. So we just want to have people, and before you get to that area, slow down. There's no reason. That's some of the biggest problems that we have in the valley is speed and following too close and not paying attention, distracted driving. So if you see something up ahead, always try to get further away from that area and slow down when passing. And Neil, one thing more. Yeah. Could I shout out one thing today?
Yeah, shout out right there.
All
Are
right.
you kidding me? They're waiting for you. You know what I'm saying? Shout out. Are you going to say hello to your wife?
Yeah, no.
Well, you sent her the video, though, right?
Today's January 9th. So today is National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day.
Yes, it is.
So I want to tell all of our fellow officers, the men and women who bravely wear that badge, we're with you. And we see you, we know you, we love you. And we thank you for being 24/7, protecting us and serving the community here in the Las Vegas Valley. So our hearts go out to everybody that wears that badge, and we really appreciate you. And I just wanted to get that out for the National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day today.
I saw that today, and it's very important. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Everyone loves you. Everyone supports you. And the few that don't, it's okay. You know what I mean? We'll try to combat them to get them to change their mind. But yes, it's very important. You know what I mean? The law enforcement is there to protect and to help us. And so when they say protect and serve, they really mean it. You know what I'm saying? Like
they go above and beyond. Unwavering commitment to service and dedication by our troopers and parole and probation alike. I mean, you're working on, sometimes you're working on your days off. You miss some of your children's events because you might have a crash or something that you're working on and you can't get home. So these are very dedicated people that go above and beyond. So
yeah, and I'll tell you, I watched the TV show that shows where the police they do Friday and Saturday night where they the law enforcement they show it live, right? And they have people, they have the people that go in to serve the warrants, right? And the parole and probation guys and all that type of stuff. And I'll tell you, I mean, I don't know what would be scarier. Having a car drive past me at 85 miles an hour while my head is trying to have a conversation with someone, or going into a structure that has all these rooms that you don't know what is behind door number 2. And you know what I mean? And it's like, oh, well, what's in that room? Well, don't worry about that. You know what I mean? And so when it comes to the Nevada State Police, every function of them, they put their lives on the line every single solitary day, just as all law enforcement does. And so I agree.
And it comes down to training. One thing about Nevada State Police and the Department of Public Safety, they give us some of the best training ever. We go through our defensive tactics and our firearms and everything else, but we also have practice shoot houses. We have, what do you want to say, like practice for school shootings or something that would come out like major incidents here in the Valley. So everybody is in the entire Valley is trained in the same situation. So if that happens, we can respond in a timely manner, and all law enforcement in the Valley know what to do. Their primary goal to go after that.
Yeah, and I was just going to share that, on January 1st, you had the person decided to, start shooting off rounds because the person had nothing better to do. And, a week before that, the Nevada State Police, they had to use their rifles. Okay? And so there was a decision that had to be made by a trooper to not only pull his sidearm out, but to actually have a rifle because and make conscious decisions to put his hand on a trigger and pull that trigger. And so the training is so important. And that's why when it comes to Officer McClarty, what he does, it instills that in the mind.
Yeah, it's muscle memory. When you're actually doing all that training, and that's why we do so much of it, it's just muscle memory. The minute you get in that situation, you know what to do. And that's what they embody in us every time when we do training, so for our safety and the safety of others.
Yeah, so it's fantastic. Yeah. So thanks, guys, for being here. You know what I mean? We could keep talking about this, but, let's get to some pictures. But it's very important. Sure. You know what I mean? All right. Let's see what this is. Motor Carrier Safety Assistance Program. So human trafficking is real. And so it's not taken lightly by the Nevada State Police, or I don't know any other agency, but when it comes to the Nevada State Police specifically, and not getting into specifics, but there are certain things that you are trained to do in having conversations and looking at things to identify something of this nature. So I turn it over to you first, because when someone is on parole and probation, they have made a choice sometimes, and sometimes things have gone bad, and sometimes there can be other bad things that are happening around that person. And so, not getting into specifics, but do you see human trafficking when it comes to the parole and probation?
I have heard, not personally, but I have heard and know of a few incidents where somebody was held against their will at their residence. But this is where that conversation comes, and you're with that person 3 to 5 years, right? So you being able to get to know them, understanding how they tick, I guess, and when we're trained to, observe and know our surroundings, being able to see signs of, maybe distress, when somebody's nervous, because I can see him, he's twitching his fingers over here right now, so he's nervous.
Right.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But no, it's like you see little signs,
I
and
do.
that's what we're trained to do. We're trained to observe. We're trained to see and look at things in a different light, rather than just the black and white version. We're trying to see everything.
It's interesting because when the major was sitting there, right, the major sat there with his hat right on his knee, and I saw him playing with his hat, like the whole time he was here, the first time he was here, I was very starstruck. Like even though I interview him all the time, like it was still like weird. And then the second time when he was here, I was a lot more comfortable. But I saw him like playing with his hat, and I was like, the whole time, I just like you're saying that you're there to observe, right? And I kept saying, well, am I upsetting him, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when you do your job, you have to look at these things, because at the end of the day, this is somebody's life, right? And so part of, and I don't want to put it into words, but like you're there to save somebody's life. Like, and if you see something as a Nevada State Police officer, you're, like something isn't right here.
Right.
And that's why we teach.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
That's why we teach the public. If you see something, say something. If it's out of the ordinary, this is a great campaign right here. It's Truckers Against Trafficking. This is another organization where they're starting to let truckers know what to see as far as people that may be involved in human trafficking. So people that might run up to them and saying they're being held or nervousness. There's all different signs that these truckers can report that there might be a trafficking incident to local police or the federal government on certain trafficking. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I was just going to touch on like when you see something, say something.
Yeah.
A lot of law enforcement is reactionary. We come across something, now we got to react. A little mixture of parole and probation is we're reacting to what we see, but we're also preventing by doing home checks, having them come to the office, being interactive and speaking to them. We're preventing potentially another victim, potentially another crime, and that's our goal, is to prevent that, in addition to reacting.
And I was going to say that and I'm sure that like you're right on top of it. You know what I mean? Like he's very calm and cool and collective on the TV. You know what I mean? But like that's the type of person that you want for a parole and probation officer. Somebody who's calm, somebody can have a conversation with you and all that type of stuff. But it's important to know that when it comes to the law and the line, don't cross the line. You know what I mean? That the Nevada State Police is there to do a job. And so it's very important, and that people that do reckless driving, drinking while driving, doing drugs while driving, or the poly drug or whatever, you know what I mean? All these things, they can end up on parole and probation or die. And so it's very important that we want to try to stop as many people as we can from doing these type of activities. And again, that comes from talking. Every time that you go to somebody's house, you talk to someone, and then you talk to the family member, and hopefully that family member isn't going to do what the other family member did, right?
Right.
And so, when it comes to the human trafficking, it's very important. And it's very important that when you see something that you have to call Star NHP or something of this nature, because this is real. And I have to imagine, and again, I don't know, but a lot of people that are probably human trafficking are young, so they don't have a voice. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think we talked once about the human trafficking, that there was like not older, but in their 30s and stuff like this that are still human trafficked. But when it comes to the younger crowd, and so we need to speak on behalf of them to stop the people that are doing the human trafficking. Yeah. So great for the truckers, and it's very important.
And we rely on the public.
You know what I
to
mean?
let
Rely
us
on the
know if
public.
they see something, say something.
See something, say something.
Yep.
Holy smokes, Johnny. Oh, yeah. All right. You ready for this question? I have now lived in Las Vegas for 16 months from Kentucky. I live in Lone Mountain area. I appreciate the fact the roads around Lone Mountain area are highly monitored by motorcycle police. However, I must say that I have never seen so much disrespect for the law when it comes to traffic violations as there is in Las Vegas. There's never a time when I have ventured on the 215 or the 95 and have not witnessed the absolute most reckless driving ever. I rarely go out at night due to the fact that drivers are complete idiots and just don't care. I would hope in this new year that there could be more patrols on the high-speed roads versus the lower speed roads. The lower speed road, I guess I was never good at public speaking. As you know, speed kills. Another area I do not understand is why there is not more law enforcement based around car windows that are totally blacked out. Trucks that are super jacked up as their wheels are outside the wheel wells, flinging stones and debris on cars and motorcycles behind them, not to mention headlights that are totally misaligned in oncoming traffic. Why are these issues not addressed? Okay. There's so many things to talk about. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Okay? One of the things that we do on the Trooper Talk is when people write in, we want to talk about things and talk, address them. Okay. So Nevada State Police can drive on a roadway and a freeway. And we have learned that Nevada State Police doesn't just travel on the freeways only, that when you have a take-home car, I don't know anybody that lives on a freeway, right? So you have to drive home. You're driving not only through public roads, you know what I'm saying? But, we've talked before where, the troopers have pulled people over a block from their house, because they're doing something that they shouldn't be doing. So let's take a few of these things and figure out. Let's start off with the disrespect to the violations. I mean, we see it every day, and we know that it's there.
And that's why we're out there,
and that's
trying to enforce it. I mean, we got dedicated troopers out there 24/7, and with the amount of troopers that we have out there, we try to cover as much as we can, but it's a big valley. I mean, there's only so many of us, and it's a valley of 3 million, so we can't be everywhere at every time, but we're actively out there giving tickets, reducing speed, making ourselves seen on the roadways to try to prevent a lot of these violations out there.
Yeah, and so when it comes to the lower speed roads versus the higher speed roads, I know you don't, it's not part of your area for the parole and probation specifically, right? But you still travel home.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know what I mean? And so when you're done traveling on the freeway, and you probably travel on the normal roads more than the freeways.
Yeah.
Right? Or you know what I mean?
On duty and off, yeah.
Okay, and so you can call. It's not like you're driving around in your car and you see somebody blow past you at 100 miles an hour. You're not going to make a, you know what I'm saying? And so, and especially because you drive the ghost car and they don't think that you're a trooper.
True.
Right.
Yep.
And so, when it comes to these other things, I don't know the law of, a truck having, you're not allowed to have tires that extend from a, do you know that?
No, he's probably talking about the trucks are jacked up really high, but I mean,
it is what it is, right?
Yeah, I mean,
don't follow too close. You know what I'm saying? I'll tell you the thing that makes me crazy is that every night I drive home, I don't understand. You know what I don't understand? How does a car have headlights on and no brake lights? Because every night I drive home.
Different fuses, probably.
Okay, because here's the thing. I get on the road, and there's somebody that does not have the brake lights, right? So I get behind them, and I flick the high beams at them, like, and most people are, oh, thank you very much. And they don't think you're a lunatic, but, they're like, okay, right? But it's very weird because I drive next to them, and they have headlights on, but they have no rear.
Yeah, because they think they turn their lights on, but what happened was the car probably blew a fuse for just the rear lights only. They're separate. So I've seen that many times too. I'll when I'm in my personal vehicle and I'm driving at night, and then I see, oh, somebody doesn't have their lights on. Of course, you want to alert them and let them know they're not lights.
Right.
And you get up there and their front lights are on. So that a lot of times that's probably a fuse problem or something electrical on that. So.
But part of our responsibility as a driver is to make sure that our car is in perfect working order or whatever. And when it comes to not having it in working order, I mean, I guess, we don't walk around our car like I think when
Most
they
people
told me
don't.
when I was 16, you're
Right.
supposed to you're supposed to
Vehicle
walk
inspection,
around
yeah.
the car.
Yeah.
Trooper Thayer, right? When he was here and he brought his motorcycle, he goes, every morning I start my motorcycle, I check the tire pressure, I make sure that, you know what I mean? But we don't do it. And so
The majority don't.
We're so busy in our own mind and all this type of stuff. But, one of the things that we should talk about is the fact that if you drive on a donut tire, you shouldn't be going 80 miles an hour on the freeway, right? Like there's probably basic principles for the road before you get into the impairment and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, that you shouldn't be driving on a donut. I think usually it's like 45 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And
So
I think
and
there's
they're only for a couple of days
Yeah.
until you can get it repaired. But I don't understand if people are driving on like a week or two.
I was going to say, I think there's a
Asking for
mileage
trouble.
limit on those tires.
Really?
too.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just see people blowing down the road on those things, on those little donuts, and I'm like, you know what? I'm staying as far away from you as I humanly can because it just doesn't make sense.
They hit a curb and
They-
it blows out.
Yeah.
I mean, now they don't even have a tire.
Now
so,
they don't even have a tire. Now they're really, stuck on the side.
Now
of
you
the
gotta get a
road.
tow truck.
Right now, you're gonna get touched with more money.
Yeah.
We thank Gene for the questions, and please send us all the questions that you have, and you know what I mean.
I just want Gene to know that, hey, we are actively working on that every day. I mean, that's what our troopers are out there trying to look for these violations, but just so he knows, we're not there every time, We'll tell people, hey, call Star NHP or 911 if it's a major reckless driver or you think they're impaired. Don't hesitate to call us. We'll be there. But sometimes you got to understand, we might have a trooper that's 20 minutes away or 30 minutes away. By the time they try to get in that area, that vehicle might be gone. So, I mean, we got long areas to travel, and sometimes we can't just make it to that area. And sometimes if we got a trooper that's close by, our dispatch will stay on with you, and they'll describe that car that's reckless, and they'll stay on the line until we can get a trooper to them, and then we can get them stopped or whatever. So.
But we just need to do everything we can. You know what
Absolutely. We got to work together. I mean, the community and
100%.
law enforcement together to try to stop these bad patterns.
I'm saying?
and driving
These
habits.
violators. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I saw a trooper the other day. He was pulled off. He was on the side of the road, and I'm sure he had his rear radar on, waiting for somebody to come around that corner and just be like, it's too late. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, once you get around the corner.
Once you
you're
get
done.
around the corner, he was right there. He was right on the side of the road. That was the end of it.
You had a good spot.
They're trying, and that's what's important. You know what I mean? I just want to finish this thought with that the Nevada State Police is doing and trying with as much as we can, and that's why we need Officer McClarty to have more people to come and see him, so we can get more troopers on the road,
Absolutely.
and then we can help. So, Gene, if you're looking for a job,
We got one for you.
We got one
NevadaStatePolice.com.
for you.
You know what I'm saying? We got one
Absolutely.
for
We got a
you.
family chair at the table for you.
Absolutely.
What is this? With the use of the new technology, Nevada State Police investigators were able to identify a body found years ago in Nevada. Well, when it comes to so let me go in a different route. Part of your job as the PIEO is to go to gruesome and deadly scenes where there are traffic fatalities and things of this nature that you have to see, which obviously you've seen in your career already, but now even in this particular job, your job is to go there and try to calm down the troopers who maybe are new and haven't dealt with these type of things before, right? And so you go there as the big brother. And secondarily, you have to explain to the media, well, this is what we're doing and this is what we found, and you have to find the balance as an active investigation and to what it is that you can talk about. And so your experience as a law enforcement officer for so long has led you into this position. Mm-hmm. So I want to talk about that. So go ahead.
Yeah, when we go to these scenes or whatever, we always want to get the facts out to the press and everything. So what we can give them is pretty much preliminary information, what we know, the facts that we know at the time. But we can't give, the evidentiary evidence or stuff that is seen because it's still under investigation. So we try to help get the information out to the public as much as we can, and then later up we'll do a follow-up. I don't know much about this case that came up, but it might have been something with Nevada Division of Investigations. And they probably did some backgrounds on somebody that was either a homicide or something that had in the state of Nevada where they found a body. One of the great things with our technology nowadays is we have DNA. And it's getting better and better all the time to identify parties that have been missing or labeled as missing for a long time, so they can bring some closure to those families later on. So,
and you don't probably see as much of the gruesomeness, right? Or you probably see more pictures.
Correct, unless we're unfortunate enough to respond or go to a home contact and.
And see something.
Yeah, see something, yes.
I never even thought of that. That you actually, that unfortunately that you might go to some place to view someone and there might be things that are not of viewable nature, right?
Right.
And that really mess with your psychological mind and stuff like that?
Has potential to, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so when you're able to see those things, you're able to, it's very difficult, but you have to be able to work and then turn that off to be able to go home, right?
I wouldn't necessarily say turn it off, because I don't personally do that, and I think I'm always like an open book, or my doors are always open. And it helps me specifically is my partners and my friends, which more than just friends, family. We all have like a shared experience. So us, like you said, having a smaller agency and we know each other, like I could tell, I've only been around him for a little bit of time, but I'm sure I could tell that something's amiss or something's wrong with him, to where I might go buy him lunch or something. So it's that personal interactions that we have that help out.
Yeah, I was going to say the personal.
And the same with the family at home, right?
Yeah.
I get to see my kids and my wife, so I don't necessarily turn it off, but if they were to ask me, I could talk about it, and it would makes me feel better about it, because they're gonna sympathize or try to make me feel better.
And another thing is we work with these people, they see the same things, so it's a lot easier to talk with people you work with, because they understand it, where the public doesn't see that. So you don't have the same type of people to talk about the things that you have seen or witnessed, and they understand it because they've already been in it or have done it. And it's kind of like a bonding of a group where you can trust somebody and talk to them about what's really going on.
And sharing those experiences, he's able to say, I did this and that made me feel better, so maybe you should try that. All those experiences that he has, he can lay out maybe a plan of what made him feel better, what made him combat those issues.
Yeah, and I was just going to say that, and both of you two gentlemen, you talk about your stuff at home, and we don't talk. I don't want to bring up personal, right? But the family structure at home is very important. You know what I'm saying? So that, because with what you deal with is very stressful, and it's very taxing on the brain. So to be able to go and be able to go home and be able to share, you know what I'm saying, is very important. And again, I come back to the promotion ceremonies, that every single time that somebody gets promoted, all the hierarchy is there from Nevada State Police, and they always give flowers to the significant other. And they say, listen, I'm just telling you right now, this is not going to be easy. But, you know what I mean? We want you to know that we're here for you. And what's really cool is when they do the retirements and the families are there, and that the families are there and they're all together and they're all friends with the hierarchy of the Nevada State Police because they've gone there or they've done things. And so the Nevada State Police is a big family. And so that big family is looking for new family members, but they have to be qualified, right? And so I come back to, the fact of that they have to do a ride along, right? When we saw Whitney, she said that to become a dispatcher, it's mandatory that you have to do the ride along, so you can see what the troopers are going through, and you can, see what they're doing, and like you talked about the fact of, if you don't hear from them in a certain amount of time, that they're going to call you, excuse me, and they're going to say, listen, just want to let you know that, somebody's there for you. And so it's very important. And so the Nevada State Police is always looking for well-qualified people for armed right, or civilian side. What would you say for
sworn or
civilian?
Okay,
Absolutely.
Sworn or civilian. They're looking for them both, right?
And part of that recruitment process that I do personally is I don't totally get personal, but if I know that they're married, I know that they have a significant other, girlfriend, family, kids, things like that, I want them to be involved from the start. So whether that's they want to come meet with me or have a 3-way phone call, FaceTime, anything, because I want them involved. Because in the academy, you're required to study. You're required to give a lot of time to learning, the Nevada laws, regulations, how to, patrol, all that stuff, basic law enforcement. And it takes a lot of your time. So you have to have that support structure behind you that's going to help you, stay forward and learn all that stuff.
Yeah, I know. It's because, sometimes people have families, right? And so what you're basically saying is, listen, if you have children, I'm just telling you, I'm not going to be able to spend as much time with you during this time because I have to study. Like it's really important, right? And so, it's not you just go to the academy and you go there from 9 to 5 and you just shoot guns and that's the end of it. No, you have to know in your mind the laws.
Yep.
So that when someone asks you a question or what the law is, you have to follow the law. And so so we want people to know that. So that's really important. Okay, we never talked about that before, and so that's very special, because I would think that most people only want to deal with the recruit person and not the family.
Right.
And so what you're saying is the direct opposite. That you want everyone to be inclusive.
Yeah, it's less than a number. I don't need a number to fill a spot. I need a person to be a part of a family, because we're more than just, I'm officer of number 1 or 20 or whatever. I'm on some kind of list. We want people to join the family. So when we have our interactions together, like we said, we have shared experiences, things like that. We want an additional person to give us insight, because they're going to bring their own personal experiences that they have, and it's going to make our department even better.
Right, and I love how you said that.
Yeah.
We don't want a number, right? You're just not trying to fill a space at an academy just because. You want a person who actually cares and wants to dedicate their life and really has the passion to do a number of different things, right? Parole and probation, fire marshal, Capitol Police, all these different things. But they have to have that passion for the law enforcement to start. Because even in parole and probation, you still wear that uniform.
I can, yes.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's very important that even though that you're parole and probation, you still could be the trooper. You know what I'm saying?
Can, yes.
I appreciate you coming always. And I want to tell you that you're getting a lot better.
Appreciate it, Neil.
Okay?
Yeah.
And so it's important, okay? Because we're growing together and you are learning and you're becoming even better than you were each and every time. And that's what's really cool. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And so it's very special. You may not see it, but I'm just telling you from here, okay, that in the few times that you've been here, you're 180%, 180 degrees in a different way.
Okay.
And so it's fantastic. It was fantastic the other way, but you're much more calmer, and it really shows. And so one of the things that's very special that we touched on the last time is the fact of your experience. And we always want that to be the forefront of what we're talking about. Not only from the recruitment standpoint, but the fact of the solidarity. And so thanks again, and I appreciate it and everything.
We appreciate you, Neil. Thank you so much.
Officer McClarty, I love when you're here. You know what I mean?
Oh,
You're
thanks.
so calm, and you know what I mean, and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
it's really wonderful because the only thing that was not good is that Trooper Wellman said that she wasn't working last Tuesday, and she wanted to come by and say hello, but she didn't know.
We're gonna get her on. We're gonna get her back here.
I'm trying.
so,
You know what I mean? I
absolutely.
keep telling her to get. I want a new. I want the new picture with her little corporal thing here.
But you got to understand, she's going to be pretty busy. As a matter of fact, he can tell you a little bit. They just started the academy today.
Yep. Yeah,
So-
yesterday was
so-
day 0. Today was day 1.
Day one.
Yeah.
So she's a corporal now. That she was the PEIO here
Right.
before, but now she made corporal and she's in the training division and training new troopers and probation officers or whoever, whether they're state fire marshals or whatever they're going in for. She's going to be their academy instructor. So.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
but we'll get her on there. We'll get her on.
We're trying. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Thanks again, John. Okay.
Yep.
All right, we'll say goodbye and we'll wave. Okay.
All
See
right.
you later.
I'm good.